I have this chip on my shoulder where I don't think I belong. It's something that has motivated me and continues to motivate me to this day to go out there and prove that I do belong out here. Even though I've played 10 years, I'm not going to change my mindset.
Is that technically imposter syndrome, or is that a different thing?
If that's imposter syndrome, I got it bad.
You're welcome.
I got it bad.
Mr. JJ McConnell, live from Oklahoma City. It's been a long time since we've done this.
It's been a minute.
I feel like I see you, but we haven't done it.
Yeah.
We haven't. I'm blaming JJ because I feel like this was a thing that he would talk to you too much.
Yeah.
And so he would be like, we don't even do a pod. But I'm like, people want to hear from DJ.
Yeah, it's good to be back. But yeah, I'm 100% putting the blame on JJ too.
Just popped the blame on him. We need to start because we're taping this Friday afternoon in Oklahoma City. Drew and Pascal were just in here and they were talking about the cane. So I want your side of the story on this cane. Your birthday, it's a happy belated birthday.
Appreciate it.
Birthday was Tuesday.
Yeah, the 25th.
Tuesday night. Tell the cane story from your perspective.
Yeah, I mean, pretty normal morning for me. You know, I have my coffee on the drive in. I don't think that's too old to do. I think it's pretty normal. And I walk into the facility and there's balloons in my locker with the number 50. I turned 33, not 50. And a cane is sitting right there. Mind you, I'm not even the oldest player on our team. And Obi Toppin, that was the culprit. I think he woke up at 6 a.m. to do something like that. So I don't know whether to be flattered that he put so much thought into it or upset. I mean, like I said, I'm not the oldest player on the team, and you know, there's still tags on the cane. So it's probably going to be a re-gift when Obi turns that age.
It says a lot about Obi, for better or for worse.
Oh, I know. I mean, the guy, I don't know if he sleeps. I know he definitely doesn't wake up early. But the fact that he did that, I mean,
what was the handle? Was it silver wood?
It was, I don't even know. It was like metal, and I've never seen it. It was one with 4 pegs at the bottom. So I don't know.
Is James Johnson the oldest?
Yeah, but you know, we don't talk about that.
No
one says that James is the oldest, and deservingly so.
Oh, that's pretty good. How was the birthday otherwise?
It was good. You know, I went to dinner with my wife and a few friends, and like we just talked about, I got to see a dear friend of the show, JJ, stop by the night before we played against them. So it was good to see him.
He said, Jason's here too. We saw him Tuesday night. He said he was watching film, and if it wasn't your birthday, there was nothing. there was nothing pulling him away from the film besides that. What are your thoughts? You're one of his closest friends. You've known him for I don't know what 7-8 years at this point. You've seen all sides of him as a person, basketball-wise, everything like that. The last year and change, 10 months and change since this massive shift has happened. What was your initial thought when you basically realized it was happening? And then, you know, your thought on the success that he's had. It's been awesome for us to see, but I'm curious because we haven't really talked about just seeing a guy that, like, you know, has never really coached before, and all of a sudden he's the really good coach of the Lakers.
Yeah. Obviously he's like a brother to me. That's our relationship. He took me under his wing when we were with the Sixers, and we've remained close to this day, like super close. And, you know, you know him, everything that he does, he seems to be really good at. He spends so much time and energy and is knowledgeable about just about everything that he does. So to play with him, you could see how smart he really is and just what he sees out there. And then you see him kind of transition to the media side of it and the time he spent perfecting that craft. And it was like a seamless transition, incredibly talented there. And then I didn't expect him to coach this quickly. I knew he was probably going to get the itch at some point to coach, but I'm not surprised the least bit of the success that he's having. He's a perfectionist, and I mean, you've seen his interviews this year. He doesn't sleep when they lose. That doesn't surprise me at all. He just is always so hungry to perfect his craft, and I knew he was going to be a great coach.
The other thing which you've experienced firsthand, Jason and I have sort of seen this from a work standpoint. And we see it with the guys too, but like his EQ is so high. So he's going to put in the work, and from a detail standpoint, he's not going to be, outworked when it comes to film stuff and the X's and O's and things like that. But he was a great player for years, but he was a great vet for years also, where he knows when to push and pull on certain players, where you are, curious your perspective. You have a pretty unique perspective, even just with your family background, growing up with a coach. But like so much of good coaching is also just managing. It's not just being a, X's and O's wizard, but knowing how to understand that like you're working with partners that may be working underneath you, but they're working with partners, and you have to get them to buy into what you're selling. And that's EQ. That isn't just intelligence.
No, I mean, I feel like the career that he had, players, you automatically get that respect. But I feel like coaches can sometimes, and I'm not talking about specifically one coach, but the tough part of the job is just to manage egos and to manage people. And JJ is so good with people. So I feel like that's so easy for him. The X's and O's thing, I mean, that's as easy as breathing for him. The way he studies the game, the way he sees it. But I feel like, a big part of his success is the way he manages people, and he does it at a high level.
I want to go backwards a little bit. I want to get into some Pittsburgh stuff, because Cam has been doing a lot of episodes with us because he's bored in Brooklyn. He's also very good at it, which we've realized. We kind of had to like talk him into it, and now he's like really good at it and likes doing it. But you've known him for years. He loves talking about you in high school. I don't know the exact age, but like his way, we've talked about it on the show a little bit, his way of like explaining TJ as a player in high school. Because he's like, TJ was like Michael Jordan of Pittsburgh. Where he was lighting everybody up constantly, and it was basically unguardable in every possible capacity. And so he, I think, is not surprised at all at the incredible career you've carved out, but he does find it funny how your game has changed over time. And so I want to go back. I want to start with high school a little bit, and first like check with you to see how accurate you think that statement is. And then also just like sort of talk about when you started to understand a shift needed to happen in terms of the way you played.
Well, first off, Cam's my guy. I love that dude. But to say I was the Michael Jordan of Pittsburgh it's egregious. It's probably the most egregious statement I've ever heard in my life.
Gassy.
Yeah. It's ridiculous. I had a really good high school career, and I shot the ball a bunch. I had the ultimate green light. I had great teammates who just kept passing it to me, and my dad was my coach, who just pushed me to get where I'm at today. But going Division I at Duquesne in Arizona, even I slowly started to transition to know that I'm going to be a point guard. I was more of a shooting guard in high school and shot a ton of threes. I know you probably don't believe that. But
no, I got the stats.
Yeah.
You were 34, 8, and 9.
Yeah.
Senior year. I was going to ask about the threes though. So you were shooting threes too.
Oh yeah. I shot a ton of them, and it's not that I stopped working on them. I just kind of put more focus into other areas, because I knew, a 6 foot, or I wasn't 6 foot at the time, white guy. I just had to change my game and do the little things. And
this is pre-Duquesne when you're making this realization?
Yeah. I mean, I shot a little bit more threes at Duquesne, but then when I went to Arizona, I kind of was just like, I need to be a consummate point guard, just be extremely solid on defense and get people involved and shoot when I'm open. And I kind of feel like that's where I remain.
Was Duquesne, did you want to stay home, or what was the process of going there originally?
My only offer. Honestly,
was Duquesne?
Yeah, it was Duquesne. They offered me as a sophomore in high school, and I was 5'6", 120 pounds. So by a guy of the name Ron Everhart. And I still keep in contact with him till this day and have a lot of love for him. And, took a chance on me when I was like that, 5'6". And
were you at the time, not like bitter, but were you like upset at the fact that people were not understanding with you putting up numbers like this and playing like this? Like, this wasn't a situation where, you weren't playing great and you figured it out. Like, we're talking to Pascal. Pascal was basically like, I didn't even want to play basketball or like know how to play until I was 19. So it's like not that surprising that he didn't get very many offers because he wasn't that serious about it. Michael Jordan or not, you're putting up good numbers in high school. You'd think that there would be other people that would maybe understand that, size or not. So did you have any sort of like resentment about that?
Not really. I mean, I feel like Cam could agree to this, that Pittsburgh basketball, especially high school basketball, isn't that revered. We're known as a football town.
Yeah, he was talking about that yesterday.
And
football, I didn't realize all the quarterbacks are from there. It's crazy.
There's a lot of talent that's come out of Pittsburgh football wise. So, I mean, there wasn't resentment. I was just thankful to have gotten a Division I offer and kind of was just ready to attack that challenge. But no, there wasn't really any resentment. Kind of one of those things, I've been overlooked my whole life. This isn't any different.
It feels like this keeps happening in the NBA. It happens with, even we talk about it on the show a lot. There's a lot of guys that only had one offer who are great pros. But you getting the battery in your back, whether or not at this point you've had so much success that it feels like that probably dulls a little bit, but the energy of like wanting to prove everybody wrong feels like it has to be a little bit of a factor at that point.
Yeah. I mean, I heard Dante allude to it, going to a place competitively. And, I just try to do that. I have this chip on my shoulder where I don't think I belong. And that's how I approach every game. It's something that has motivated me and continues to motivate me to this day to go out there and prove that I do belong out here. Even though I've played 10 years, I'm not going to change my mindset.
Is that technically imposter syndrome, or is that a different thing?
Probably. I mean, I'm trying to motivate myself to go to a different place competitively, just have something to play against and get me to go to another level. Right, so if that's imposter syndrome, I got it bad.
You're welcome.
I got it bad.
What was it like before Arizona in terms of playing at home? Like, obviously your family are going to your games. Was your dad coaching you at that point still? Was he kind of like, did he let go a little bit? Like, what was that like?
It was a crazy transition. Going from high school to him being my coach for 4 years, and he basically coached me my whole life and was incredibly tough on me. There were times where he was so tough on me that, we wouldn't speak for a couple of days, and, mom was mediating at the dinner table and stuff like that. But the moment I graduated from high school, he took his coach hat off and was strictly dad. And it's something that, it was different. I thought he was going to kind of be coach and dad, but he's been strictly dad this entire time post high school. And it's something that I really cherish.
It's interesting. Even us having the coaching conversation before, that's the EQ we're talking about, is the ability to understand when to push and let go. So how did that end up coming to be? Because you basically end up there and you drop in with a bang.
Yeah.
But was that a thing where did they approach you because of how you were playing at Duquesne? Was that a thing where you started to understand like, okay, there's a future in this and I might not be able to reach it in the A10?
We coincidentally played against Arizona my sophomore year at Duquesne. And I think I played decent. I wasn't like great, but I played well. And so I think that's the first time they saw me play. And it's a funny story. I mean, it's not too funny, but me and my now wife were sitting at you ever been to a Moe's, like Southwest Grill?
Yeah.
We're sitting there just eating and hanging out after my season was over at Duquesne. And I just see a number pop up on my phone from Tucson, Arizona, and kind of had a feeling I knew who it was. And, I get on the phone and it's Coach Miller, and it's really that simple. He called me and expressed how much he liked my game and wanted me to come take a visit. And, just was enamored with the style of play and the players we had coming in. And, this isn't, a shot at Duquesne, but, the NCAA tournament was being hosted in Pittsburgh after my sophomore season. And I was sitting there, and was like, this is something that I really want to play in. And I think I have to, try a new challenge to try to get there.
Was the NBA in your mind at that point, or was it just like a pure challenge? This was just I just need a.
Yeah. I mean, it was strictly like, I want to try to win a national championship and play
in the tournament,
in the NCAA tournament.
Yeah.
I never really talked about the NBA with anyone because I thought it was in a different stratosphere for me.
Well, I want to go into that in a second. The A10 is interesting. A10 is tough because A10 is the competition's really good. Every team basically, like even the LaSalle's at that point, teams that aren't necessarily winning that much. It's like, it's not a fun place to play. Like you got a tough night every night, but you're not getting you're not getting the same perks as these other, and I'm sure it's even worse now, with everything going on. But like I could understand that mentality of like, I'm busting my ass and I'm basically, doing everything I need to do, and I'm not going to be able to sniff the tournament at a certain point. That's where the idea of trying the new challenge does seem to make sense, because you're just being like, you only got finite number of years to do it.
Yeah. I had 2 years left at that point, and I think my sophomore year, the A10 sent 6 teams to the tournament that year. And I mean, we started off decent, but it just never really came to be. But I mean, it's a tough league, and like you said, just sitting there and having those tough thoughts where it's like you're going to have to make a tough decision and leave if you want to try a new challenge. And it really, it may seem like it was an easy decision, but it wasn't.
So your first year when you get to Arizona, you guys start 21-0?
Yeah. So I redshirted. Yeah. And then my junior year, I think we started 21-0 and we're the number 1 team in the country for like 8 weeks.
What was that transition like?
It was crazy. I had never been ranked in the top 25, let alone being the number 1 team in the country for 2 straight months. I mean, it's just a testament to the players.
I feel like college basketball was just in a different place in general, obviously, than it is now. But it became a little bit of a spectacle. It wasn't a full spectacle. It wasn't necessarily JJ at Duke.
No.
But it was a spectacle in terms of you kind of going in there. And I think that all the people who played you in the A10 knew you were probably going to go there and have success, but I'm not sure they thought you were going to go in there and like take them to the Elite 8 and start 21-0.
I mean, I'm with those people. I thought I was going to come in and, be able to run the team, but to the success that we had, to be a part of that, I mean, it was amazing. That's the thing where, I mean, I feel like the hardest decisions, you kind of just really have to bet on yourself and go out there and get it. And that's what I tried to do.
I saw the second most assists in a single season in Arizona history, 238, program record versus the turnover ratio. Was the process now starting what we were talking about earlier about, just offensively, your approach is completely shifted from where you were even at freshman year Duquesne level in terms of how you would kind of approach being a floor general?
Yeah, I mean, when you're playing with players, I think we had the number 1 recruiting class coming in, or the year before, or the year I was coming in. So I really just said to myself, just kind of don't screw this up. Go in and make everyone's job easier and get them open shots and play your ass off on defense. And that's really what I tried to do. I didn't try to overcomplicate it at all. I just wanted to, not mess up what we had.
At what point do you feel like you're sort of, particularly point of attack defense, but just defensively, you became who you are now? Was it there?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like my instincts to get steals has always been there, and it was really good at Duquesne. But we switched everything at Duquesne 1 through 5. And when we went to Arizona, we ran the pack line defense. And I mean, it's no gambling, as solid as can be. And I feel like it really gave me the instincts to, slide my feet and stay in front of guys better.
If you were doing a Tom Amansky video of how to play defense, like what are your keys? What are your 4 sort of things that you look at as this is for a TJ senior year TJ at Arizona, I learned to do XYZ defensively. And this has basically been the thing that, has spearheaded your NBA career since you got to the league.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know if there's 4 things. I think for me, it's just the ball pressure. The ball pressure is big. Not really letting a guy have a ton of breathing room.
Yeah.
And even something to this day, just respecting the call pick and roll wise. I mean, not trying not to get rejected is massive, especially with the pack line at Arizona. Just following the game plan as best as you can, knowing people's tendencies. And I try to do that to the best of my abilities. But my biggest thing with defense is, there's obviously a game plan, but I think it's 95% effort.
Yeah.
And if you're given 110%, I mean, you give yourself a chance on a nightly basis.
Are things like, quick hand, is that how much of quick hand, how much is that instinctual versus things you're drilling?
I mean, I feel like to get steals, you have to have some instincts, some natural instincts to, read people's eyes and stuff like that. When I'm getting steals, it's kind of one of those things where, even in the backcourt, if someone's holding me off and then dislodges and lets me go, it gives me a chance to get in there and get steals. And that's what I try to do. But even when you're fighting over screens and looking where, okay, is the guy you're guarding going to skip it to the corner? Can you get a hand up and get it? Or is he going to throw it back? Or can you veer to the big man and he's going to throw a pocket pass? I think stuff like that comes with instincts.
With the back-to-back Elite Eight appearances, you're now TJ McConnell, the Arizona. Like the spectacle has arrived. You're in a different place than you were in high school, a different place than you were in college. NBA is still not.
No.
So 2015 draft. Looking back on that, great draft.
Yeah.
Cat, Booker, we can run down the list. A lot of guys who
For
are.
Sure.
What's coming to be at this point? Are you like, I'm going to Europe? How is the plan coming together in terms of you even ending up in Summer League?
Yeah, I mean, I'm sitting there with my wife Valerie and a bunch of family and friends, and we're kind of just watching the draft, and got a few calls to say that they'd like to draft me, but immediately send me overseas. And it was kind of a false dream where, if you get drafted and stashed, I don't know necessarily, you kind of have to start over again the next year.
Yeah. And
I wasn't really interested in that. So I just, like I said, tried to bet on myself and prove people wrong. And so we said no a couple of times. And I had a really good workout with Philly. And like a minute and a half after the draft, Brett Brown and Sam Hinkie gave me a call and were like, we want to invite you to training camp, give you some guaranteed money. I think it'd be a good fit. And I jumped on it.
And you were just like, this is me betting myself. This is my situation where I'm like, if I do what I think I can do, I'm breaking through. When you get there, the team is brutal.
Yeah.
10-72.
Yeah. It's tough. It's a tough first year.
I think at that point, do you feel like I actually feel this way? This is not unique to basketball or to professional sports, but I feel like sometimes if you're like starting at a job, the best place to be is at a place that's kind of a shit show because you actually get to prove yourself versus if you go to, Golden State. I don't know what you're going to do that's going to stand out.
Yeah.
On that. They don't
for sure.
They don't need you. You know what I mean? There's nothing you're not.
Yeah.
Could you feel that right away there? Like besides your overall excitement to get a look at Summer League, get a potential look to, make a roster, what's your process walking into like that specific situation?
Yeah, I mean, I kind of get there months in advance, and I'm working with a guy by the name of Chris Babcock, who was a player development coach at the time, who me and him are incredibly close to this day. I say this all the time. I would not be in the NBA if it wasn't for Chris Babcock. And we just got me in elite shape and we were like, we're going down swinging. He's like, we're going to get you in elite shape and you're going to go down your way, but you're going to go down fighting. And that's what we did. And when I got there, I wasn't really focused on if this place is a shit show or not. And truly, when I look back on it, it wasn't. Brett and his staff made it so easy and fun to come in every day, even though we were losing. So that's a credit to them. Lloyd Pierce was on that staff and he's with us now. So it was easy to come in every day when you're being coached like that. But I was just trying to soak up as much knowledge and learn as much as I could and do everything I can to make the team. And when I did, I wasn't focused on the wins and losses. You know, I shouldn't even have been there.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So for me, it was more just learning as much as I can. And, you know, part of me as a competitor was confused why we were winning and that we weren't winning. And I took a step back and was like, we're just not good enough.
It's just sometimes the talent is just not there.
It wasn't there. But I don't think that was indicative of Brett or anyone as a coach because as you can see, the more time you gave him, he won 50 games.
What's your advice to guys who are sort of going through that kind of process now?
I mean, for me, it's, you know, KJ Johnson, he's the athletic trainer for the Sixers. I'll never forget this. I was walking into my first game for Summer League. And I was like, you think I can make the team? And, you know, I was just talking to him and he said something to me. He goes, when you're at the door of opportunity, don't knock, kick that motherfucker down. And I think that's the thing that I want to try to give young players that are on teams that aren't winning. This is just an opportunity for you to go out and show what type of player you can be. And when you're at the door of opportunity, don't knock, just kick that motherfucker down.
T-shirt.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's the thing. It's whether you're the 15th man, number one option. Everybody's watching every game, and it's a tryout every game for a lot of guys.
This is the dynamic. This is the dynamic which I find to be particularly interesting in the NBA. And I don't want to be like dramatic and be like it's a problem, but I do think this doesn't exist in football because in football there's good teams, bad teams, whatever it is. Football, if you don't play hard, you could get killed. Like physically,
for sure.
It is not an option. Like if you're out there, you need to play hard or you're going to get hurt. In basketball, this is the mentality the mentality you're describing seems like the mentality that is sort of antithetical to what market forces are saying. It's like, it's even just with the process, with tanking in general, with all of these things, is that a thing that is, it needs to be reworked for the sake of the league because because that slogan, as great as it is like probably not what the like trust the process people want to hear.
Yeah.
They're like, no, we want you sitting off to the side, not winning, so we can stack up, 5 years of first round picks. And so I don't know how you manage those two things because they seem to be sort of like diametrically opposed in a way.
Yeah, I mean, I think you see it now like when you're playing against a team that's not necessarily trying to win, there's no easy wins. For me, my rookie year, we won 10 games, but I think we had one of the most fourth quarter blown leads in the NBA. So it's like tanking's like hard to do because we're not out there, trying to lose.
Yeah.
And so, but you see teams nowadays that, they're not necessarily trying to win, but that doesn't mean it's going to be an easy win. I truly don't believe that in the NBA, especially nowadays.
Yeah. When did you first start locking in the midi?
I think I started to really develop that, a little bit at Duquesne and then tried to perfect it at Arizona and then just really honed in on it with Chris Babcock in Philly.
Do you track at this point? You're a self-aware guy. Do you, it drives other fans of other teams fucking crazy. I don't think it should surprise anybody for the last since you got to Indy because you've done it to every team in the league multiple times.
Yeah.
Every possible moment. But I'm also like curious, like if you even know the percentages. I can't think of that many times I've seen you miss it. Like I feel like percentage wise, It has to be in the 70s.
I honestly don't look at the numbers. It's just really like, you've been around me. I just try to
Let's do it.
Yeah, I mean, take what the defense is giving me.
Yeah.
And when guys go under, which they have, just try to beat them to a spot and rise up and shoot it. And then it's really that simple. Just reading what the defense gives and going from there.
So your second year in Philly is when Ben comes.
Ben Simmons.
Ben Simmons comes, and Joel's there, but he's hurt.
Yeah, he doesn't. Yeah, he's not playing in training.
When are you starting to see what these guys are, sort of turning into?
Yeah, so I mean, I spent a lot of time with Joel. When he was hurt, he was around the team a little bit, and then when he was like starting to get really healthy, you could see how good this dude was going to be. And then Ben, I played with him in summer league and then through training camp, and I was like, these are pretty big generational pieces on the same team. And unfortunately, Ben goes down in the last play of training camp that year, and Joel comes in and is just like, I mean, he hits the ground running. Like playing against Steven Adams, his first game of his career. I mean, it's when Steven Adams was in OKC, it was the pinnacle. I mean, he was one of the top centers, and he came in and put on a spectacular performance. So, I mean, I think a lot of us were like, we got a star in our hands after that game.
JJ always said about him in Philly, he was basically like, when this guy's on, he's the best player in the world, and he's completely unguardable.
Unguardable.
Unguardable. There's nothing you can do with his level of skill and size. And that's been sort of proven out over time, obviously.
Yeah.
But you were seeing the bones of that right away. You were just like, when he's healthy and he's playing, there's nothing anyone can do about it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to come out here and be like, I witnessed this, I saw this, I knew this was going to happen. I mean, the guy worked incredibly hard to get back onto the court, and worked with Chris Babcock as well. So that's why me and Joel spent some time together. But to get where he's at now, I mean, that's all him.
What were your? Because I remember when it happened, when JJ got there. What were your first impressions? Were you guys boys before or no?
JJ?
I don't remember. Yeah.
Yeah, I was like, this dude JJ has the driest sense of humor I think I've ever met out of anyone in my life. And it's just like, I grew up watching him, at Duke and stuff like that. So I didn't want to weird him out with that type of stuff. But, just like him joking around and stuff like that, I was like, this guy's got a really dry sense of humor.
Did it become like you guys are both psychos? JJ shows off the psychoness a little bit more, I would say.
For sure.
And I think even you talking about your drive, like that is like, he talks about sickos, like that's what it is. And it makes sense. I feel like all of his best friends are like that. And that's a thing. Yeah. There's like a kindred spirits. And it's almost like it's hard to explain until you kind of see it, but then it makes sense.
If you would talk to my teammates, you would hear how much of a psycho I am on the court. I try to keep it behind closed doors most of the time. Off the floor, I'm a completely different person, but on the floor, like
Dante was talking about your shit talk the other day.
Yeah, but he started like I don't.
Well, he talks a lot of shit.
Yeah, and he always starts it.
Yeah,
he forgot to mention that.
No, he always starts he also does that just in life.
Oh yeah,
like it's 9 seconds in, he's just going.
He's a good dude, and I've known him for a little bit, but I won't ever seek out talking shit to someone. I'm always responding.
You
to
don't
something.
start it, you finish it.
No, I mean, I wouldn't say I always finish it, but it was like something yesterday. This kind of shit happens to me all the time. We're playing in Washington, and I was on a triple-double watch, and this guy in the second row is like, "Hey, McConnell, you suck, and you're about to give us a triple-double," and I'm like, what the fuck is this guy's problem? So, I mean, like that type of stuff happens constantly.
Did you go back at him or no?
I mean, I just kind of looked up at the scoreboard. We were up at like 40 at that point. So I got a lot of friends over on the Wizards, so I'm not trying to trash anybody, but I was just like, buddy, like, what are you talking
like we're
about?
dropping 162 on you. We scored 45 points in the first quarter. I don't even have to say anything. Do you have a favorite story like that that like just cracked you up, like with a guy?
Yeah. It was my rookie year. And there's a guy that still works for the Sixers to this day named Alan Lumpkin. I've never seen a person laugh so hard, which in turn made me laugh. We're playing in Denver. I think it was my rookie or second year. And I'm coming off the floor and someone from, the Nuggets out of the crowd is like, "Hey everyone, look, it's Ollie from Hoosiers." And I'm like, oh man. I was like, that's brutal, but like, that's funny. And Alan Lumpkin from the Sixers, like, was like hunched over, like could not contain himself laughing. It's one of those where I was super embarrassed, but like, you just got to laugh and tip your cap to stuff like that.
Did they give it to you? Was it bad in school too? I feel like the West Coast is just like more chill with this stuff than like what Maryland or ACC or one of these places.
Like getting the JJ treatment in college, no one ever experienced stuff like that. I feel like is still the worst. Oh, it's the worst.
Yeah, that's still the and that was also at college basketball was at a sort of like crescendo. Duke was at that point where it was like it was a bunch of different things coming together to sort of make this like perfect. But I also feel like even like last night, Cam went to Carolina. And Duke, they're not, throwing shit at him, but they're definitely like commenting a lot about him being there and everything. And he's not even like a guy that like he played at Pitt for years before he got there. He's not even like a Carolina blue blood through and through. I feel like there's something about those schools that is a little different than people in the former Pac-10, Pac-12, whatever, just feel a little more chill.
No, I mean, I feel like that rivalry between Duke and North Carolina is like probably one of the biggest in sports.
Yeah.
So, I mean, Arizona State.
It's not.
I don't really. I have respect for Arizona State. Not a fan of that school, but
you're not thinking about it.
It's not. Yeah, that's not on my mind. And that. But the Duke North Carolina rivalry is like.
So when you end up in Indy, clearly has ended up being the right decision.
Yeah.
With what you built in Philly, just in sort of like an emotional level, like I feel like the Philly people still love you in a way that is, it's a great sports city. No doubt. And when they lock into somebody and they like latch onto somebody, it doesn't matter what happens next. That's probably a lifetime thing.
Yeah.
How tough was that just on an emotional level?
I think that was honestly the toughest part. Those people embraced me and treated me like one of their own.
You are such a Philly, like for a guy that's, from Pennsylvania, but for someone who's not a Philly guy, you do embody the thing that like people joke about. It's like you're made in a lab to play in Philly, but like there is some of that. It does kind of make sense why they would have that feeling.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I think that was probably the toughest part. We met some of our best friends there, and that crowd. Playing in front of them, it was pretty incredible. And people to this day, just walking anywhere, we miss you in Philly. We miss you in Philly. They show a lot of love. So I got a lot of love for the fans of Philadelphia for sure.
I want to talk about this Indy team. We were talking about this with the guys before. Every game is just a track meet.
Oh yeah.
How long do you think it took you to sort of understand, once Rick got here, once sort of Ty started getting comfortable, that this was going to be how you guys were going to play?
Yeah, I mean, we didn't necessarily play like this once Rick got here. We had a completely different team. We still had Domas and Malcolm. We still had Miles. I feel like once Ty got here, and I was hurt for pretty much all that year when Ty got here, you could see what we had in him and the style that, he likes to get up and down, pick and roll, just get people the ball. And you got to give credit to Rick and, his staff. They completely just changed the whole offense and gave the keys to Tyrese and said, here you go do what you want. And Tyrese has ran with it.
It feels like you guys are just a pain in the ass. When they see you on the schedule, it's win or lose, it's a pain in the ass to play.
Yeah.
You don't want to see Indy coming to town.
Yeah.
And I'm curious just from like your perspective now, having been in a bunch of these different groups, how much of that is just kind of like just contagious in terms of once you start feeling it's a swagger. You feel that walking into a building, and you were just being like, we know exactly what we have to do, and also how much of that came from the run last year.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, credit to our staff for, implementing it, and credit to everyone on our team for kind of taking it and running with it. No pun intended. It's one of those things where we're kind of going out there and playing like super selfless and playing fast and playing to our identity and not wavering from that. I feel like everyone on our team deserves a lot of credit for that, because I feel like we can, in this league, you can get stuck in a lot of ISO ball.
Yeah.
And I feel like we don't do that much, and we get out and run. And that's a credit to guy 1 through 15 on our team, kind of giving themselves up for our team. And I feel like that's a big reason we've had success. And just the way we play, we pick up full court every game. It's not like we just did it in the playoffs. So we were prepared to play like that and just kind of tried to wear teams down. And like I said,
Pascal said when he got here, he didn't get it. He didn't understand.
No.
It took him like 3 weeks to be like, oh, we're actually doing this all the time. Like, this is not
no, this is not a facade.
Yeah. This wasn't just they were doing it against us that one. I also feel like you guys Nesmith is a good example of this. Like you have so many, JJ and I would talk about this all the time, about just knowing your role and understanding you need this on the team, this. Don't, we don't need you to, go over and try to do these 9 things we don't need to do. Nesmith is like, that is a guy that like is going to have a place on a winning team.
Oh, yeah.
If he wasn't here, if he was somewhere else, he would be in the same, whatever team he's on, they're going to be using him in the right way. He's going to be winning. And so I'm just curious, like how your perspective has shifted about that with teammates, in terms of you've been able to do that your whole career basically, but even what you're telling guys about how to sort of learn how to, fit in that way.
Yeah. I mean, I try to, help as much as I can. I feel like the coaching staff does. We've got a young team, but we've also experienced a lot for a young group.
Yeah.
So just giving people roles, I feel like, especially defensively, when you got guys like Drew, who's an all-league defender, and then, Drew gets tired and you throw Aaron Nesmith on him, and then I'm guarding him, and then Ben Shepherd's guarding him. I mean, that can wear you out pretty easily. And I think that's the thing that I feel like is so impressive with our team, where it's like defensively, we can throw a bunch of guys at you and pick you up full court and then play just as fast offensively. And, I feel like Ty is just phenomenal from day one since he's gotten here, of giving us an identity offensively. And then the staff, continually helping us improve defensively. It's been, a group effort.
Where does the Game 7 MSG
Number one, for sure.
I could feel that being there.
My last Game 7, before that, was probably one of the shittiest feelings of my career, when Kawhi Leonard hit that shot, because I knew possibly it was probably my last game as a Sixer. I didn't know, but to lose that way, difficult, obviously, but basketball works in mysterious ways. You was able to try to get some redemption and a place to a Game 7 in Madison Square Garden. It's just really nothing like it.
I don't mean to poke the sore subject, but we were just talking about it with these guys because Pascal was on the other side of this.
Yeah.
Your perspective now with some time on that, the series overall was nuts.
It was nuts.
But on that particular shot, because I don't think I've ever talked to you about it.
Yeah. So I'm on the sidelines and he shoots it and hits the front of the rim. And a bunch of us are like, all right, like overtime. And it bounced off the rim again. And I heard someone in the back of the bench be like, what the fuck? And then it bounced on the other side of the rim and then just drops in. And I'm like, what in the fuck just happened? Like one of the craziest shots I've ever seen. I mean, the bounce was incredible. I don't know if it was the Air Canada Center at that time, but it was so loud. And you're kind of just like, honestly, what the fuck just happened? And you walk back and you have time to process it. And it was a really shitty feeling because you look around and you're like, maybe never playing with some of these dudes again, and probably not going to be teammates with a lot of these guys. And the JJ one was difficult for me. Some tears were shed, and it was tough. That was a tough way to go out, but got to give credit to Toronto.
That series overall, when you're probably not going to want to go back and watch much of it, but overall, that was such a loaded group they had.
Oh yeah,
you guys obviously, in retrospect, the amount of talent
yeah.
on your roster, it just was a weird heavyweight bout to happen in that round of the playoffs. I think like what ifs are kind of stupid in sports in a weird way, but like when you think about that, that group and what could have been if you had kept everyone together. Even with the success you've had since then, do you think about that sometimes?
For sure. Obviously hindsight's 2020. Me and you talk about that, but it's hard not to look at that group on paper and be like, if you keep that group together, at least a championship, maybe. Can't predict the future, but it didn't happen that way. And when I say that group, I'm not sure I'm coming back. But that core starting group,
I think you're in that group. I mean, maybe I'm biased because we're sitting together, but I'm like, I feel like having gone to a lot of those games, understood what that rotation looked like. There was a clear 7-man group that was responsible for the team being in that position, and you were 6 or 7. It's a thing in professional sports, but probably bigger than the NBA, of like, just don't overthink it. Like everyone's ready to come back, and all of a sudden you start going and mixing and matching, and then the whole thing goes to shit. And then, by the way, everyone goes other places and are successful.
For sure. I wasn't in those conversations about bringing people back, so I can't speak on it, but it's one of those things, like, you look back on it now and you're thankful to have been a part of it. But things happen for a reason, and I've came to a place that really values me as a person and a player, and same with the fans.
Amazing fans. Amazing sports city.
Amazing. And
amazing basketball city.
Yeah, it's been incredible for me and my family to be here.
The Hoosiers thing is funny though. It's just like, it's the indie. It's like you are the
prototypical Indiana basketball player. Got it.
What advice do you give to younger guys in the league about coming off the bench and being successful off the bench?
I feel like just being a star in your role. I feel like what me and you talked about earlier in about the effort. I feel like as a backup point guard, my job is to come in and create energy if we need it, but give it anyways. But if we're losing, I feel like as a bench unit, your job is to bring us back. That's what a team is for. And if the starters have a lead, just don't fuck it up. Go out there and just do what you do. But like the effort thing is big for me. Just give 110%. That sounds super cliche and super middle school, and the effort thing is really big.
You just lead by example so well, where you're not a guy, like, you're not a screamer. You'll talk,
sometimes.
But in general, you're the guy that basically just comes in flying around, and it's sort of like everyone needs to match that. You don't. Yeah. And so when you're looking at your own sort of journey, is that a thing where you had to basically like understand for yourself, I can just control what I control, which is myself and my own energy? Or how did you get to the process where that basically became your sort of like way to operate?
I genuinely believe that playing hard is a skill, because if it wasn't, everyone would do it. And, when I came in, and like, I'm trying to tell you about this guy, Chris Babcock, he's like, you need to stand out. Nobody picks up full court, and you need to make that your calling card. And so we got in the gym 3 times a day, got in elite shape. And he's like, you're going to pick everyone up full court, and that's what you're going to hang your hat on. And it's something that I've created an identity about. And if you play really hard and make life hell for the other team, I mean, the other stuff like the offense, that shit will fall into place. But if you're going and playing to exhaustion every time you're out there, like I said, it gives you a chance to make a roster and to get more minutes. I mean, I feel like I've made a 10-year NBA career on, just outplaying people. I mean, you have to have skill, obviously, but just making life really difficult on both ends.
And when you look at the Stephs and the guys who also have this outwardly talent, they also have
Steph's in elite shape. Like Tony Parker, my rookie year, I thought I was in good shape, and he ran me off an action called floppy. And I was like, that might be the fastest human being alive. He was going this way. I couldn't breathe. And it's stuff like that where it's like, I have to do this constantly. What I said, making life hell for people on both ends. Like, people don't want to play against something like that. And so that's why I try to just hang my hat on it.
Drew was talking about guarding Steph, and I'm sure you've had your own experiences with this, but he was basically just like the thing that he realized day one. He obviously grew up a fan and he thought he knew basically about the crazy shot making and everything. I guess you kind of have to see it sometimes to believe it, but also he was basically just like, it is hell just chasing this dude around. Like, everything else aside, even if he misses, you're gonna be gassed.
Well, I mean, his shot making ability is one of one, but the reason he's able to get open is because he doesn't get tired. And like I said, I've guarded him, and you're chasing him off one action. He throws it to Draymond. And I mean, you got a guy like Draymond who's just really smart and knows how to give him the ball. I mean, you're just chasing him off 3 actions. And unless you're in as good a shape as he is, you're going to wear down at some point. And I mean, that's a testament to knowing what you got to do to be great.
Outside of people we've already talked about, do you have a group of teammates, let's say teammates, not guys in the league, teammates who you feel like played the hardest? That you just you were like, everything else aside, everyone's skilled, everyone's talented, you're in the NBA, just balls to the wall. Like, these were the guys who I'm like, I need to level up to them.
Watching?
Yep.
It's tough. I mean, I watched guys because I just like the way they play. I loved watching like Rondo and stuff like that, and other point guards. I never really looked at someone and was like, man, that dude is playing incredibly hard. And I just wasn't focused on that. But once I got to the league, obviously I've changed my perspective a little bit. And there's a guy in our team who doesn't get enough credit, Ben Shepherd. Yeah.
Shooter.
I mean, he plays like that. So, I mean, obviously the kid can really shoot, but he plays incredibly hard. So, it's been easy to kind of mentor him a little bit.
And I think that's a good way to close. TJ McConnell, you're the man.
Thank you, brother.
See you soon.